I've been thinking a lot about the word character lately. Like the concept of having a character or playing a character aligns with, the theatrical, assuming a role. But having character is actually very different from that. The word does not come from theater. Originally, it's a Greek word describing the impression made on a seal or a coin to indicate authenticity. So it's something stable and trustworthy. And I think that's a great goal to pursue when it comes to your personal development in terms of becoming someone that naturally drives the results that you're looking for. And unfortunately, I think we are leaning a little bit more towards the theatrical use of the word, which means assuming a role, like assuming a character that's not really yours. And it doesn't work long term. And it also feels kind of terrible on the inside. It illustrates the internal gap that so many of us are living with, where who we are is not who we'd like to be. And then we turn to things like identity work and discipline and grit and persistence and everything to force through a conception, a perception perhaps, both internally but also from the world, that we are that thing that we desperately want to be. But it's not reality. It's just a character that we're creating, that we're assuming we're playing a role, a part. And it requires a lot of effort. And it might seem like the only way that, you're dealt whatever cards and all you can do is just, put on a poker face and play the cards the way that you best know. But living a life from that space where you're constantly trying to, to put on a front, a facade of who you are versus who you want to be. It's so much effort, isn't it? It's too much. And in my experience with my own work, but also in other people, it seems like it never really works. The story, you kind of feel like, oh, this might work. You describe a new identity and then you put in the discipline and then you become that. But it doesn't really work. And I feel the big issue is that if you talk about the gap between who you are and who you want to be, which is a friction internally on its own, it's a terrible gap. Just think about it. The notion that you aren't who you want to be like this, it's not a nice feeling. But widening that gap by assuming a higher identity and then trying to push that through with effort and discipline and grit, widening the gap doesn't help. You're just creating more internal friction. And actually what we often need is to focus on closing the gap before making the movement towards what we desire. And why I really like the word character is because that is exactly what it means. It means being true, being authentic, being real. But also knowing that character is molded over time. You're not stuck. You're not stuck in being what you turned out to be after your formative years, where like we're not conscious about where we're going. We're being developed by parents, society, circumstances, and everything. At some point, we wake up and we're like, "Oh, who is this guy or girl that I became?" And then the feeling can be that this is what we're stuck with, and so we have to pretend in order to get another experience. But it's the pretending that's creating the friction, and it's also a lot of times the pretending that's actually limiting us and stopping us from being able to move forward. So for myself and what I advocate for others, once you do have the adequate awareness to look at yourself from the outside, is to say, look, the first task is not to widen the gap and become so ambitious with your identity that the rest of your life becomes a struggle to meet that identity. The first task is to close the gap, to become honest with yourself and the world, your surroundings. Who are you? What are you capable of? And then being honest in your expression, in your actions, in your day-to-day living, the little things. Make sure the little things are consistent with that which feels true. Then you have your character. This is where you're at. And then you can start to build it towards something more, something new, something different, whatever. And sometimes you even arrive in that sense of truth, and you realize it's enough. Like, I don't need all this stuff that I convince myself I need. But you won't know until you settle down and rest into who you are right now. Close the gap between who you are, who you want to be. Remove the internal friction that is, I need to be something more. No, you need to be authentically you. You need to be in character. And then after comes the work of defining, okay, but now I'm here, where do I want to go? And that's the exciting part. Like, once you do fully arrive, once you close the gap, then you're able to actually become creative. And it's a completely different outlook. And you might want to go completely different places. But now you'll have the foundation to actually go someplace. I'm not fully, articulated yet around the word character. I typically I point to integrity. But integrity is more to describe the strength of a system to withstand external pressure and stuff. Like, it's a slightly different term for me. But character has been in my thoughts, in my reflections for a while now, because essentially I feel that what I'm offering to people that choose to work with me is the space to work with character and capacity long term. It's not romantic, but it is very real and worthwhile, if you ask me. Anyways, I think that's what I have on that word today. I'm trying out new ways of speaking a little more freely about just stuff that has my awareness, my interest, which is what I used to do in the very, 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 very beginning. And it does feel better. So I'll continue that for a while, see how it feels. I wish you all the best on your journey on resolving the internal friction that we all... I don't think that there's any human on the planet that doesn't have some kind of internal friction. And the part of the journey of finding contentment, peace, and fulfillment in life is to resolve the internal friction first, and then create amazing things in and of and with the world. Yeah, that's all. Bye.